South African Federation of Trade Unions will wrap up its elective conference today after 3 days of heated exchanges in Boksburg. The federation announced its leadership in the early hours of this morning. That's when Zwelinzima Vavi emerged as the General Secretary, so he was able to retain his position essentially. Declarations are expected to be the focal point for today. Let's take it to Boksburg now. Bring in live our reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo, who's been watching a dramatic 3 days that have unfolded so far, Ziyanda. And interesting that Zwelinzima Vavi and his entire slate were victorious yesterday into this morning, especially given, I guess if you like, what Irvin Jim was saying and the support we thought he enjoyed before the votes.
Well, I do need to correct you there a little bit, Ayanda, because it wasn't the entire slate of Zwelinzima Vavi that's emerged. 4 people from his slate emerged. 2 are part of those 4 national office bearers that were the topic of heated discussion during this particular Congress. I'm talking about Mutwari Lekoro and Thabo Matsose. They were part of the previous, top 6 structure. They've returned, but the other 2, including Max Shabalala, did not make it once again, and you'll know that Irvin Jim even threatening yesterday to have NUMSA pull out of the Congress. I think the most critical thing to note here, and one of the biggest takeaways, is just how divided it seems NUMSA is. It's quite understated, but if you think about the numbers, if you just look at the numbers, NUMSA had 296 voting delegates, followed by FAU that had 130, and then SAPU, which has largely been backing and moving with NUMSA, had 88 votes. So if NUMSA was really united, their slate should have emerged clean, clear-cut and victorious from this Congress. But, the other way to look at it is to say that perhaps this is somewhat of a unity slate. Another indicator of the divisions within NUMSA is the fact that they had 2 candidates from NUMSA actually running for the position of president. In fact, the new president, Ruth, is also from NUMSA, but she has on her slate General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi. So it's a very interesting outcome, and this outcome and how it's received by the unions will also tell a lot about the fate of SAFTU and how they'll be able to unite going forward.
It's about a way forward now. Declarations set to take place. How significant is that?
It's a very significant aspect of this Congress, where we know that they will be making various pledges and declaring certain approaches to certain issues, if I could put it that way. So, for an example, some of the commissions dealt with socioeconomic issues, the international outlook, and also the finances of the federation, which we heard from Zwelinzima Vavi, when he was delivering his political and organizational reports, where he was lamenting how, the finances of the organization are in such a state that it's not giving them enough muscle to mobilize, reflecting on their inability to mobilize even for Workers' Day, this recent one this year, and that in comparison to when they first launched in 2017, their influence seems to be waning. And when you talk about influence, he was also speaking then about the ability to actually organize workers, saying that the number of those of workers in the country and them being unionized has actually increased from about 76% when they first launched in 2017 to about 79%. So really raising the issue of why then SAFTU, given its positioning as a new political or a new home rather for the working class, why they haven't been able to tap into that market and unionize the workers of this country. So these declarations, Ayanda, will be very critical in terms of the strategy and perhaps even being able to spread across the country, because as it stands, they only have 3 provinces where they have provincial branches. That's in the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Northwest, if I'm not mistaken.
Ziyanda Ngcobo, thanks for that clarity and context as always. Ziyanda, live to us there from Boksburg.